Nowadays, anime has become mainstream as we all know. Gone were the days where that extreme prejudice that comes from being a fan of this medium. That said, it has been luring people into this rabbit hole that is endlessly filled with dumpster fires, masterpieces, and everything in between. And I guess shows that are mid if you want to be thorough. And among the enormous audience that watches these shows, some are inclined to be completely pulled in to a certain extent. Escapism, dragging ourselves towards a different reality to forget the daily struggles that we have. Even if at times that venture leads to hot flaming garbage, we still indulge ourselves in it. Which is why we watch anime like that one time my uncle rented a stepsister who was his ex in another world. Like, seriously, some of you guys are willing to put up with any mediocrity. The sheer amount of ridiculousness in these shows distracts us from our constant daily struggles, which gives us a certain amount of joy, be it from how terrible it is, it's entirely up to the viewer. Some might even go as far as self-inserting, imagining how it feels to be in the shoes of the protagonist. Everything handed to you in a silver platter, giving you ungodly amount of power, perhaps, and possibly women, which is why harem-esque isekai has become so popular, pumping out that next blank in another world. But I'm going in a bit of a tangent here. Throughout that sea of fluff, there will always be shows that grace us with actual great writing. Writing that may leave a profound message, a harsh truth that we may not be prepared to see. Realities that can hit the mark, a sort of relatability. It could stem from our hypothetical lack of drive, a feeling of powerlessness, the non-existent self-esteem that we may have, and all that. We have been given at times bad hands in life, cards that you can't exactly play for anything beneficial. There have been those really dark moments. But there are certain series that has given us light, showing us a path that we may have forgotten because our heads are too clouded with all these self-deprecating thoughts. And to my personal experience, one series has given me away, much like its main character, in realizing what I really lacked at the time or have too much of. The lack of dreaming, the lack of ambition, and the sea of ignorance that we both swam on. That was Blue Period. Simply living your life and doing what is deemed necessary by your surroundings without offering much thought into what you yourself could enjoy. Just conforming to the norms and going with the flow. That is how our high school student Yatora Yaguchi is portrayed. A by-the-book individual, but even so still decided to be a delinquent, partly because of some words from his father. Though not necessarily hating it, he just feels a certain emptiness, a void in his life that bothers him. Yatora was someone that never felt any sort of ambition, or at least that was my impression. No dreams, just simply playing it safe in his life, getting good grades while living the life of a delinquent, and to even ruin his health by smoking to conform with how his peers act around him, until through chance, something managed to catch his eye, setting him in a trance-like state. That event alone set the sparks and propelled him in motion towards something he would never have thought to pursue, a life of art. To simply create something that was driven with so much life, to convey yourself, your message, into a medium and becoming overjoyed when you feel validated as others appreciate it, sort of resonated with me. Though not an artist myself, I at least empathize with Yatora. Magic emanated from Blue Period. It caught my attention, much like how our platinum blonde-haired friend Stupor, when witnessing his senior's art piece, Blue Period manages to endear its viewer into the intricacies and beauty to be found in art, even if the audience themselves don't exactly understand all of its nuances. Flinging new and neat concepts that at times I just pretend to nod and understand, but still appreciate nevertheless. And for him to just dive himself into unfamiliar territory, Yatora just shows the drive and willingness that he has for this newfound passion. Even if that means getting into a college that has an abysmal acceptance rate, paying the exorbitant prices that his field demands, and the intense amount of training he even needs to grasp the basics of what it means to be an artist. Even with all those challenges, Yatora is willing to push past that and pursue what he thinks is something that he must do. The show leaves so many messages in its story beats that you could easily empathize with. such as the misconception that people have within talent and hard work, or that it's never too late in trying something different, being someone that you would have never imagined in the past. For that is the power of dreaming, gaining ambition to work towards something that may seem like a far-fetched fantasy.
頑張れない子は好きなことがない子でしたよ。好きなことに人生の一番大きなウェイトを置くのって普通のことじゃないでしょうか。
Words that cut hard. For Yaguchi, life felt a bit drab. Nothing is fueling his art. Nothing gives him a reason to be passionate. He's only motivated with the constant squabbles from his mother with the financial position they are trapped in. It has set a work ethic for Yatara in being the student that will check the right boxes and give the questions the proper answer they deserve. So for him to switch into something that has no clear defined answer, something as vague as art, something that is left up to feeling, is not gonna be easy. Nevertheless, he is eager to put in the work. He gained that passion to be motivated in something which is indeed commendable. With this inexperience, he feels inferior when everyone shows their creations. He does not have that confidence of presenting his artwork on a pedestal. Through his pursuit, he feels as if that everyone is at a different level from him, an overwhelming presence of self-doubt, slapping them into a group that he labels as talented, and that he is just a mere bug that has to work so much just to get an inch closer towards their level. He thinks little of himself due to his lack of understanding and how minuscule the period he has been pursuing art compared to those people. Yatara unconsciously feels that bit of jealousy towards the people around him, ones that he deems to be gifted. This is what drew me to Blue Period. The sincerity of each situation, as it showcased the misconception that some people may have, that they can mistake hard work for innate talent. While it may not bear any ill intention, it would easily affect other individuals and often demerit the hell that they endured in order to even get there in the first place. But on the flip side, most people only see the end product of someone's hard work, and it is understandable that this is a common occurrence. But it would still feel as if everything they worked hard to achieve it is just suddenly tossed aside, disregarded or trivialized, as all of that is boiled down to them having that so-called talent. It's like someone would be saying that they felt jealous because they lack qualities that could easily come naturally to you. It's stupid when you say it out loud, but in reality, talent can only get you so far. You could be some gifted child capable of playing the piano, but if you don't put in that effort to improve and maintain that level, then don't expect that you would still stay strong when you get older, because you need to grind those hours to hone in on something that difficult. Yaguchi quickly realizes that, empathizing with them, as to him, it is exactly like getting called a genius because he was an honor student and had high marks even when he was acting like a delinquent. When in reality, he just puts in a lot of work to reach that, often responding to those comments to share his side, but is often overlooked. And from an outsider's perspective, it has given me a glimpse towards the minds of not just artists, but friends in my own circle that had this similar experience. And it made me appreciate the fantastic works that they have meticulously crafted even more. After those long and arduous months that Yatara put all those eggs on, all culminates into the entrance exam. He worked himself to the bone, and without getting too much into it, and to his surprise, he passed. He did it. He got into a place with a notoriously low rate of acceptance. A reason to celebrate, and with it is a personal sense of gratification. That everything that he worked upon had actual purpose to them, to prove the doubts that constantly flood his head, that he can do it. But even if we achieve these so-called dreams, it does not simply end there. Like in Horimiya, getting together is just half the story. There is still so much that happens afterwards. It isn't like your typical rom-com where everything is at a stop when they get together in the final episode. There is actually more to it than that. Obviously, to stunt your growth by just making this one singular goal, and your actual endgame might be clouded as a result. Did Yatara go into this thinking that he should go to college, or to pursue a life of improving his art? It does not simply spell a happy ending, Blue Period does not shy away from that. Instead of spending a billion chapters on just getting to this college, they know what they're doing. After getting into Tokyo Gedai and that initial period of serotonin has died down, Yatara is immediately pulled back into that grind. As he fumbles through, he hears these striking words: "That art you make for an exam isn't real art." For Yatara, that would mean to invalidate all that he knows, to unlearn it, and to accept the new sets of instructions of how art is supposedly done. This would obviously be heartbreaking, and it would be the start of new doubts that rise from his head. Imposter syndrome. Yatara feels as if he isn't good enough, even if he managed to study in this university, that everything he learned, every painstaking effort he peeled off, was actually useless. Or so he thinks. All those months were only creations with the lofty goal of getting into a university, but not what he could do if he gets into that university. That the only thing he can create with his hands are not art, but constructs that appeal to other individuals that can get him into where he wants to be. It can feel unprecedented. That what we strive for, the goal we think would be our joy, could also be one that can be a source of perpetual struggle, an agony that brings us down. It might be one thing to be humble, but feeling like you don't have the talent or skill in something, as we constantly compare ourselves to others, on that our value only lie in what other people determine for us, is not right. The show cuts no corners. Not everything that we dream will be an easy road, nor will it be how you would expect it. There is no real surefire way of overcoming this. Just have to deal with it for the better part of your life. But I think what matters most is that you have the conscious decision to continue taking that high road in spite of that. To have that determination to persevere. In tackling the internal struggle that we have caused by this, it ponders the question if it was even worthwhile doing any of this. Is there any joy in what we do anymore? Did there come moments where this path we have chosen felt purposeless? What would have happened if we just ignored it, to just play it safe? And while thinking about all those issues, it will eventually lead to this dilemma. Do we still love what we are doing? Rough patch after rough patch, it seems that even as he persevered and outdid himself, he thinks that some of it may just fall flat, a waste of time, that all of his failures will come back to bite him. You have to realize that it is necessary in improving, to learn from those mistakes, to create better art forms. All of those doubts, all of those worries about the future, sometimes just simply going back to your roots and learning where it all began in the first place helps us remind why we are here. And if we remember, he was able to communicate with other people, not through filtered words that they want to hear, but through an image that laid his feelings bare. By just looking in the past, it gives you a clearer picture of what you want to appreciate now. The people, your surroundings, everything that have stuck to you throughout your life is what we consider to be something we love. Or at least, that's how I interpret it. So when asked what exactly you love, my realization now is that it depends. Not everyone can share the same amount of passion for something, nor have that passion be present whatsoever. Sometimes it is birthed out of a duty to fulfill, but to our main character, his love came from laying himself bare and having people accept and even appreciate that side of him that he usually never shows because it might be dismissed or not given the attention it deserves. Now that it is constantly being questioned and tried, we just simply have to find different avenues. For example, there could be a joy found in sharing that experience with other groups of individuals that have similar thoughts with you. Or developing children in this same passion that you found, and that you should understand that not every person is bound to do the specific task because of necessity. Some may do this because of circumstance, and some do it out of love. I wish I could talk more about the colorful world of Blue Period more, like the catalyst of most revelations that Yaguchi had, Yotatsuki, even having a character arc on the aspect of the talent versus hard work at its worst. That his identity became ingrained in his prowess in art, the only thing that defines him. Or Maki and the pressure that was built upon the legacy of her family. Ryuji and the identity crisis that they had in their lives. And I guess this guy, he has issues. So many subplots, so many details I overlooked, but I think I've said enough. Sometimes what we all need is a simple change in perspective, to understand that not every action needs to bear some profound meaning, and that sometimes we just need that breath of fresh air. Something like playing games or watching anime, simply doing things that you enjoy. To be engrossed in something while having that passion and love is a feeling that I wished I always had in my life, and it is something that pulled me into this blue canvas that Yatara made. Blue Period has a special place in my heart. It's colorful adventure with lots of heart, love, and care given. And it may not have finished yet, but I still look forward to flip every page to see what's in store for me. And those have been my thoughts into this roller coaster ride. It has given me values that I would probably live for the rest of my life. And I thank you for indulging yourself in finishing this video. If you enjoyed this, subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz would definitely help. Thanks for watching. This has been Dezay, and I hope you enjoyed your stay.